Winkler and his wife Ellen. She taught me how to use the etching press. And as I say, Dan Weldon, who invented the solar plate process. I got kind of hooked on doing that, and so now I really focus most of my energy on printmaking rather than the photography. Although the solar plate process, really what I do is I take photographs and then use Photoshop to develop them, as it were. I will also create photomontages to give me kind of the scene I want to have. Like the picture right behind you of the cat, the black cats. That's actually 3 different cats. And a town in Portugal that we had visited. Or, for example, I think there's a picture of Pinocchio somewhere here. Right there, yes. Again, that's a photomontage. It's a picture in Sicily. Again, I made them into something that kind of more interesting. There's a photograph up there of, that's in Spain, Ronda. And I love it because it's a couple of kids in front of a fountain of Hercules. Hercules, of course, is the masculine hero of ancient times. And here is a young man chatting up a girl, while her brother, who she's watching out for, is ducked down and sneaking around the fountain, on the opposite side of which, if you can see that through the water, is another little girl his age. Anyway, that kind of thing is fun. So that one isn't actually changed at all, except for the fact that it's developed differently so that I could print it. This is a solar plate that I developed. It's a series of mills that are in the area. I've got Aldi Mill, this is Waterford Mill. I've got Millwood Mill, where they still have an operation, and you can buy a cornmeal there, and a couple of others. And what you do is you take a photograph, you work to make the image like you want to see it. In some cases, this is the Aldi Mill. To this one, of course, in the development process, I eliminated the signage and such. And I found a public domain picture, it's actually the Ford Foundation, of a wagon pulled by 2 horses and a driver, stacked high with ground corn or flour. Put the 2 together, and that's been a really popular picture. I mean, I started out with film photography, but very quickly switched over to digital, as my wife did following. She's always ahead of me. So, yes, again, Photoshop, with a darkroom, you can take things in and combine things and so on. But Photoshop takes that steps beyond. And so you can actually create the kind of feel, texture that you want in a picture, and do photomontages and or scenes. In any case, just to take this a little bit further, what you do then is simply make a transparency at Staples usually. This one is a laser transparency. And then you take a photosensitive plate, put it into a UV light box for about, altogether, it's about 6 minutes, I think, 2.5, maybe 7 minutes. What happens is that the plate, where the light gets through the transparency, will harden the material, and where it could not get through, the material remains sensitive to water. and you just wash it. And voila, you have essentially an etching plate. And with this, it's a little thinner than most etching plates would be, but it works really well with intaglio, the process that some people say was invented by Picasso. Anyway, you smear ink on the plate and then wipe it off of the relief areas. It uses quite a bit more ink than a relief print does. And then you dampen the paper and then put it on the plate, and it takes quite a bit of pressure, about, I've been told, at least twice as much, maybe more than that, more pressure than you would apply to most etching plates, because you can feel the difference, but it isn't great between the relief areas and the recessed areas. And voila, you've got a picture. This is the Waterford mill. This is Aldi mill. So it comes out with a nice feeling of depth and so forth. This paper, I made quite a bit of it using the facilities at Nova, but there's an artist downstairs that also makes handmade paper, and I bought quite a bit of it from him. It varies greatly, but it does give a really nice kind of a feel for a lot of the prints, and it seems like they sell pretty well when they're printed on. I have a fairly limited palette in the printing process, so I use normally only maybe 2 colors, 1 or 2 colors in the printing process. But again, it allows you even, well, much like a painter, to leave things out, to put things in that aren't necessarily in front of you. So photography in that way, I'm leaving behind, because I can do a lot with Photoshop to change, distort, or whatever the images that I have. And so, yeah, I really like what I'm doing. I'm not trying to imitate a Rembrandt image, nor am I trying to do a Picasso or anything like that. I'm not trying to imitate a print. I'm not trying to imitate a photograph. Whatever I have is just something I'm creating. The pictures you produce, they don't always, in fact, they rarely turn out exactly like you had intended. And so I just feel that that's the picture trying to talk itself. Well, for example, that picture there is, I call it the ghost ship. It's in Sweden, a circle of stones, well, actually a oblong of stones, that late Bronze Age people would put together, and it would have a stone for where the mast would be and such. We just tried a bunch of things and to take that photograph and make it something better. And essentially what we ended up doing, Jane was advising me on that, is just inverting the whole thing. And so it's kind of the reverse, which turns out kind of like a silver print, but then converted into a solar plate. And of course, when you're carving, like the one next to it, which is the taming of Adam, carving with me, the shapes don't always turn out the way you think they're going to, and yet effectively the whole thing turns out the way it was intended to be, I guess.